Sathya Sai Speaks, Volume 13, Chapter 24. Global Bhajan, Part 2 of 3. Let liberation be your only desire. There is, however, a thief that lurks in the inner consciousness of man, planning to rob him of this gem. He is karma, desire. When we have gained what we desire, lobha, greed, the accomplice of the thief, steps out and prods us to desire a few more objects. When what is desired is not gained, another accomplice, krodha, anger, steps out and prods us to hate and harm those whom we suspect stood in the way of that gain. Of course, you cannot instantly eliminate all desire from the mind. So you should nourish the one desire prescribed by the Vedas. The Vedas lay down 4 goals before man: dharma, righteousness; artha, wealth; kama, desire; and moksha, liberation. Since the first and the last are difficult to attain without detachment and deprivation of sensual pleasures, man has given them up as impracticable and is struggling in all lands and climes with the middle two, wealth and desire. All the fear and misery of life can be traced to this dire mistake. What has to be done is to take the 4 as 2 inseparable pairs, dharma artha and kama moksha. That is to say, earn wealth through righteousness and use wealth for the promotion of righteousness, and let liberation be your only desire. Words have profound effect on the mind. Liberation means getting rid of bondage. Many people give up hearth and home, wife and children, property and possessions, and, escaping into forest retreats, pride themselves on their renunciation. But this act of fleeing cannot be honored by that name, for such an act by itself cannot confer release when the mind still remains bound. The fundamental bond which has to be gotten rid of is the bond of ajnana, primal ignorance. Death is sweeter than the bondage that ignorance can impose on man. Cast away ignorance, you are free, liberated from all bonds that very moment. All spiritual disciplines have this liberation as their goal. Nama Samkirtan, heartfelt singing of divine names, too, helps you get rid of this basic ignorance. Those who rely on reason alone or on the limited laws of science argue that the repetition of the names, which is after all sound, cannot cleanse or correct the mind of man. But the name is not just sound. You are sitting quietly there listening, but if someone merely says scorpion, you get frightened. Or when someone says the juice of a lemon, your mouth starts watering. You may be sitting before a plate full of delicacies, but if someone speaks of something dirty or disgusting, you are apt to refuse the food. The mere sound creates so much of a reaction. A certain officer was inspecting the work of a teacher in a school. He had a hearty contempt for mere talk, so he asked the teacher, "How can you ever transform the nature of these children by the words you utter? Show them by deeds. Act, don't speak." The teacher protested and argued that words have a profound effect on the mind. The argument continued for some time, At last, the teacher resolved upon a plan to convince the officer of his point of view. He told an urchin of his class, "Here, catch this officer by the neck and put him out of the room." Hearing those words, the officer flew into a great rage and started pouring abuse on the teacher. The teacher said, "Sir, I only said a few words. No one pushed you or hit you or touched you. It was all mere sound, but see how it has enraged you. Words, sir, do help in modifying character and shaping nature. They have vast power," he said. Do not seek to discover the evil in others. When words referring to worldly situations have such a transforming effect on the mind of man, words conveying spiritual and elevated meaning will certainly help in cleansing and correcting the mind of man. When we fill the air with harshness, we become harsh in nature. When we fill the atmosphere with hatred, we too have perforce to breathe the air, and are hated in turn. When we saturate the air with sounds of reverence, humility, love, courage, self-confidence and tolerance, we benefit from those qualities ourselves. The heart is the film and the mind is the lens. Turn the lens towards the world and worldly pictures will fall on the heart. Turn it towards God and it will transmit pictures of the divine. Therefore, always do good, see good, remember good, and be good. Do not seek to discover or discuss the evil in others, for the attempt will tarnish your own mind. When you are engaged in searching for the faults and failings of others, you are paving the way for developing those faults and failings in yourself. Dwell on the good in others, and in time it will prove an asset to you. The goodness latent in you shall then be urged to sprout and blossom. Every thought leaves an impression on the mind. When you pray, "Swami, appear in my dream tonight," there is a chance that you may be lucky to visualize Swami in your dream. But if you pray, turning your attention to bad things, "Swami, let not a pig or a donkey appear in my dream this night," in all likelihood the pig and the donkey will present themselves to you in your dream. Why pay undue attention to things you do not need and do not benefit from? Every thought leaves an impression on the mind, so be ever alert that contact with evil is avoided. Ideas which are opposed to spiritual tendencies, that narrow the limits of love, that provoke anger or greed, that cause disgust, these have to be shut out. For the sadhaka, this is a very essential discipline. He must sublimate such thoughts before they cause an impact on the mind and should concentrate on the very source of the thinking process. This can be achieved by the practice of equanimity, unaffectedness or balance. This attitude is the mark of the jnani, liberated person, and is called Jnana Shakti, the power of wisdom. Of course, it is not easily acquired. The path of devotion and dedication, the Bhakti Marga, is easiest for most. It is attainable by love, for love leads you quickly to the goal. End of part 2 of 3. Prashanti Nilayam, November 14th, 1976.